Keeneland's Friday card offers up the Sycamore Stakes. It's a grade 3. It's running a mile and a half on the turf. It's the ninth race on the Friday card for 3-year-olds and up. But I gotta tell you, this race is this is a real corker. It's a very interesting field. It's really not much different than last year's race. But I do think there's some exceptions in the race shape, and we'll get to that. But we'll just take a look at it. Verstappen, the Elkhorn winner from last year, really hasn't followed up terribly well on that. Cathkin Peak, the West Coast, now East Coast horse, who has really been much better since stretching out to these longer distances. That's not a big surprise with Mike Maker as the trainer. Highway Robber, who really seems to be heading in the right direction, has had two really solid efforts in a row. Then we've got Tawny Port, the perennial, always seems to be in these long distance races. And then for Shug McGahee, Ohana Honor, it should be Honor, not Nonner. Sorry about that. And Bold Act for Charlie Appleby, and represents the probably the favorite in the race, and an interesting choice here. So we'll take a look at this field, and one of the things about it, and why I say this is kind of a repeat of last year, you've got quite a few repeat performers from that race, and one of the things about it is, you've got a lot of early runners, and the thing that's interesting about them, most of them, is they all just kind of have one gear. And that, to me, almost sets this up as kind of a merry-go-round race in some ways. I just think, somebody's going to get on the lead. They're going to run fractions of like 50 and 115, and everybody's in the front's going to be happy to mosey right along with them, and then we'll just see what happens late. Of the group, Cathkin Peak to me is pretty interesting, especially at 15 to 1. Had a nice wiring effort two back, but followed that up at Kentucky Downs, and I didn't think ran a bad race. It's Kentucky Downs. I mean, had the lead at the top of the stretch, just couldn't hold it. It was a pretty good field, I thought. And, the rigors of Cathkin Peak, or the Kentucky Downs rather, maybe we can count that as sort of a bottom type of race, to build bottom and build stamina. But I like the way this horse, since moving to longer distances, seems to be running much better. And I do like the versatility. I don't think this horse needs the lead. In the John's Call, certainly got off to a walk and just walked right home. I mean, it wasn't much of an effort, but I thought the race at Kentucky Downs spoke more to what this horse can do. So I think at 15 to 1, Cathkin Peak, a horse will likely be sticking around up near the leaders with that versatility. And maybe a little bit more late than some of the others, is a very interesting horse to use. Tawny Port, to me, this horse just has one gear, and that's the biggest problem. Never seems to have enough in the tank late. And I don't think it's going to get the lead here, which would probably be the best thing for this horse. But just such a grinder, and really just not potent late, makes me very reticent to use this horse. I think he's in pretty good form, and I think he's gonna run underneath and just keep going. So he's a horse you use for the bottom of the exotics to me. Ohana Honor to me is getting some class relief, and I think that's the most important thing. This horse has again showed some versatility, and I think is a top class performer for Shug McGahee. And I think this is a very favorable spot. Again, been running in better races the last couple. And I think at 7 to 2, we get anything close to that. Ohana Honor to me, particularly since should be running up near the leaders. And I think that's where you're going to want to be in this race, because the pace is likely not to be fast. I think there's going to be a lot of horses no matter who takes the lead. It's likely going to be Segoy, because he's only got one way to go. But they're all going to be content to just stay right there and not challenge it. And so it will probably make things a little difficult for later runners. So for that reason, race shape wise, and I also think the class relief is a big plus for Shug McGahee coming right back with this horse. I like Ohana Honor in here, and that's my pick. Verstappen is a horse that you can use underneath, but the thing about Verstappen, I can't. Looking at the running lines, it seems like they can't quite figure out what to do with this horse. The Elkhorn, he put it all together at 16-1. We loved him that day, and we were very happy. But since then, sometimes they bring him from way back and it doesn't work out. Sometimes they try to get him a little more forwardly placed and it doesn't work out. He always can kind of hang around, but he just looks to me like a horse that they really haven't figured out what to do with him yet. And that to me makes him awfully hard to trust, even at 10-1. I certainly could see using him underneath in the exotics, but that's the extent of it. I just think he's an awful hard investment to win this race. Dataman isn't bad right now. He's running pretty well. I just like others better, and I think class-wise, when he's moved up into the graded stakes, it hasn't really worked out. So I'm not too keen on Dataman. But, for underneath, 8-1 to me is a bit of an underlay. I like Utah Beach in here as a horse that's very usable, I think, in the exotics. At 15-1, you're getting a nice price. You're getting a horse who's won at the distance at Keeneland. I like the running style. I'm going to throw out that last race for Nacho Correas. He's very good bringing horses in second off the layoff, and watching it, I didn't think it was anything to be alarmed about. I just thought it was a horse who needed a race. So certainly should run better this time. I do have some concerns about the top end, but I think at the price, certainly is going to run a better effort. Proven at Keeneland, good horse to use underneath. Highway Robber, the last couple has really been impressive. His race two back, I just loved. I could not get over the early move and the way that horse closed. I just caught the field flat-footed, and it just was a beautiful ride. And I was a little skeptical of running at Kentucky Downs, coming back off the effort, but ran another good one. So this is a horse in very good form right now, and perhaps taking away the undulations and all the other funky things about Kentucky Downs puts this horse back in a favorable position. And I like Highway Robber here, certainly as a horse who can take it down. My issue is just the pace might be a little on the slow side. It might make it tough for closers. Now, you look at Bold Act, and he won this race last year. And it was a very same scenario. The pace was pretty slow up front, worked his way through traffic, got out into the open, and then blew by the field to take the win, as you would expect from a Charlie Appleby horse from Godolphin in a stakes race, particularly a grade 3. However, since following that up, the last few efforts hasn't been able to get out of his own way. He's been a step slow on the brake. He's had gait issues. And more than anything else, hasn't been able to overcome slow paces. And he's become a chalk burner. I mean, the last couple, he's been the best he's been able to do is third, and that's been where the pace has been pretty slow. Now, it was for the Sycamore last year, and so perhaps a repeat performance is possible. I certainly think so, but I just don't like the way the horse is running lately. So I want to try to beat him, particularly with this type of race shape. I think it's going to be awful tough for late runners. So we look at our wagering strategy. I'm going with Ohana Honor as one, I think, with upside, class relief, running really well right now, and down in distance. Everything looks good for Shug McGahee here. So we'll get Ohana Honor, likely to be maybe the second or third choice. So the rate should be pretty reasonable. We'll go with 10-11 box with Bold Act. I do think he has every chance to win this, and it is logical. It's just I'm just not that confident on him given his last couple of races. And then we're going to do a key with Ohana Honor on top with 2, 3, 6, and 11. I think it's more This race shape just makes this a really funky race to me. And I just can't, um, I just can't get really excited about going any deeper in any type of wagering strategy just because it's so funky. And I can't use any other word. And I hope I'm making sense. But if you just look at it, it's really hard to figure out who can in fact take control of this. So I'm just going to go with the horse I think is in the best form, and again with a little easier field. I think we can. Hopefully, we're going to chalk one up for Shug McGahee. So I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. Wish you the best of luck as always. As I've mentioned in my other posts, we are going to have more from the Maryland Million at Laurel. There are a few more, a whole lot of stakes races that day, and we're going to post as many as we possibly can. I think it's a fun day of racing, and it's kind of a break from our Breeders' Cup preps and just in a circuit where usually there's some nice values. So we'll have a lot for that. I think it's for those of you who haven't played Laurel before, it can be a lot of fun. So it's a fun day of racing, and again, Jim McKay, one of my all-time favorite people in broadcasting, and he's the one who came up with the idea. So a little sentimental there. So anyway, that's from here. It from here, and I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.